All right, guys, so we're going to go into the concept of what we call proportional relationships and direct variation. Okay, so what exactly, well, first off, let's start with what a proportional relationship is. So a proportional relationship is something that has a constant slope. So the slope has to be constant and no y-intercept. So what does that mean? It's going to look something like, I don't know, it could be y is equal to 3x. It has a slope that's constant, but no y-intercept. Or maybe something like y equals 1/2 x. Doesn't really matter, right? And graphically, what does this look like? If I were to graph a line, it would be something that goes right through the middle, just like that. It could be either positive or negative. And why does it matter that it goes through the middle? Because there is no y-intercept, so we're not going to start up here or down here or anything like that. We're always going to go through the middle. So if you ever see questions that tell you what is a proportional relationship and they give you a graph, it has to go exactly through the middle. Or if they give you equations, they have to look like this, where they don't have any y-intercepts. Okay? So those are the basics of proportional relationships. But what we're going to start off with is a concept that we call direct variation. And here's how it works. So let's say I have an example where let's say I drove 780 miles. I don't know. That's probably the distance to LA or something like that. And let's say I drove at 60 miles per hour. So how long does it take me to get to where I'm going? Okay. So let's think about what we're saying here. We're saying that we go 60 miles every hour. Therefore, we have to have 780 miles. Here, let me rewrite this where I have a little more space. So again, we're driving 700 or 780 miles, right? And we're driving at 60 miles every hour, right? So in 1 hour, we drive 60 miles. So the question is, how long will it take me to get there if I have to drive 780 miles? Okay. So what we just did here is we set up a proportion. Okay. Now we don't know how many hours it takes us, so that would be our variable right there. 780 over x should be equal to 60 over 1. And so we set up our proportion here, and we need to solve this. So to solve, we're going to cross multiply. We end up with 60x is equal to 780. So 60 times x is 60x, and 780 times 1 is 780. And now we just need to solve for x, which in this case we are going to divide both sides by 60. And so 780 divided by 60 gives us 13. So we would say that it takes us about 13 hours to drive 780 miles. And this would make sense. If we plug it back in, 780 divided by 13 should be equal to 60 divided by 1. So 780 divided by 13 would be 60, and 60 divided by 1 is 60. Okay. So this is an example of direct variation, because if we put this as a equation, we would see that y is equal to 60x. That means that every hour we're reaching 60 miles. And that is a constant slope, which is also a proportional relationship.